This record is 47 years old. Nearly everyone who has seriously tried to beat it has died trying, and the man who set it built the machine himself in a shed behind his house. In October 1978, Ken Warby drove a homemade boat across a dam in Australia at more than 500 kilometers per hour. No corporate team, no sponsor, just a backyard, a second-hand jet engine, and a man willing to bet his life on both. He set the world water speed record. And then he did the one thing almost nobody who chases these numbers ever manages. He survived. Because at 500 kilometers per hour, water stops being water. Hit it that fast, and it behaves like concrete. There is no margin, no second chance, no gentle way to fail. The boat either holds together, or it comes apart in a fraction of a second. The two men who tried hardest to take Warby's record both died on the water attempting it. His record still stands today. And it does not stand because we can't build a faster boat. It stands because we can't keep the driver alive. Think about that for a second. Not a limit of money, or engineering, or ambition. A limit of the human body itself. That is the real story of the fastest machines ever built. Not the speed, the ceiling. Every one of these records was set by a human being betting their body against physics, and every one of them slammed into the same wall, a point where going any faster stops being an engineering problem and becomes a survival one. This is the story of how we kept hitting that wall. And stay to the end, because the fastest machine humanity has ever built broke through it in a way nobody saw coming. Start on land. 19 years after Warby, in 1997, a sound rolled across a desert in Nevada that no vehicle on wheels had ever made. A sonic boom from the ground. A machine called the Thrust SSC had just broken the sound barrier on land, driven by a fighter pilot named Andy Green. Most people picture a car. It was not a car in any real sense. It was two Rolls-Royce fighter jet engines bolted onto a chassis, burning fuel so fast the entire run lasted seconds. And its greatest danger was not crashing. It was flight. Push a machine that fast along the ground, and it starts to lift. And a car that takes off at 1,200 kilometers per hour does not come back down. Green held it to the earth by inches. The record, 1,228 kilometers per hour, has stood for almost 30 years. Andy Green is still the only human being who has ever gone supersonic on the ground. One man. One time. In the entire history of the wheel. On land, that is where speed ends. But wheels have a ceiling, and so does water. To beat either, you have to leave the surface completely, and in the air the numbers stop making sense. Here is where the machines got so fast that the people flying them became the weakest part of the design. During the Cold War, two machines pushed past 3 times the speed of sound. The Soviet MiG-25 got there through brute force. When American engineers finally took one apart, they expected exotic titanium. They found steel. An aircraft so overpowered it could wreck its own engines just by reaching top speed, which meant its top speed was a number pilots were warned never to actually use. The American answer, the SR-71 Blackbird, was stranger still. It was built from titanium because aluminum would have melted. Its skin reached 316 degrees Celsius in flight. It leaked fuel on the ground because its panels only sealed once the heat of speed expanded them shut. And when an enemy fired a missile at it, the pilots had exactly one instruction. Don't turn. Accelerate. In 32 years of service, not one was ever caught. Speed was not a feature of that aircraft. It was the entire defense. And then, for one strange moment, we did the opposite. We chose to slow down. The Concorde crossed the Atlantic in 3.5 hours, twice the speed of sound, high enough that passengers could watch the curve of the Earth from their seats. It flew for 27 years, and in 2003 we retired it and never replaced it. The fastest airliner in the sky today flies at half its speed. It is the only moment in this entire story where humanity looked at going faster and simply decided not to. Every other machine kept pushing, right up to the edge of what a body can survive. And that edge has a number. The fastest any human being has ever traveled was not in a car, a jet, or a boat. It was aboard the Saturn V rocket on the way to the moon. To break free of Earth, it had to reach nearly 39,000 kilometers per hour, burning 2,400 tons of fuel in its first stage alone, its engines producing enough thrust to run 85 Hoover dams at once. 24 people rode that machine toward another world, and more than 50 years later, not one human being has ever gone faster. 39,000 kilometers per hour. That is the ceiling. That is as fast as a person has ever been. Now here is the number that should stop you. The fastest machine humanity has ever built travels at 692,000 kilometers per hour. That is almost 18 times faster than any human has ever gone. And the reason no human has ever gone that fast is simple. No human could. You would not survive it. The Parker solar probe is falling towards the sun, and every time it swings past, gravity pulls it faster. At its closest approach, it reaches that 692,000 kilometers per hour, fast enough to circle the entire Earth in under 4 minutes, or cross from London to New York in about 20 seconds. It is, by a wide margin, the fastest object human beings have ever created. And notice what finally broke the ceiling. Not a bigger engine. No engine on Earth could produce that speed. Gravity did it, and it did it to a machine with nobody inside. Parker works behind a heat shield 11 centimeters thick in an environment of more than 1,300 degrees Celsius. A person placed anywhere near it would be gone before they understood what had happened. Which is exactly the point. The fastest thing we have ever built is fast, precisely because we finally took the human out. Look back at where this started. A man in a backyard shed, betting his life against water turned to concrete. For 100 years, the story of speed was the story of people. Pilots, drivers, builders, pushing their own bodies to the edge, and often over it. Every record was a person against physics, and physics kept winning. Then, at the very top, we stopped sending the person. The fastest machine in human history goes faster than any of us ever could, for one reason. There is no longer anyone inside it left to kill. We didn't beat the ceiling. We just finally stopped standing under it.